What's up, guys? I'm just a gamer, and I'm back with my review of Black Myth Wukong. It took a lot longer to beat this game than I thought it would, just because it was a lot longer and bigger than I initially thought. And yeah, this game was massive, honestly. At least when it comes to action games, this was a massive game. And while flawed, this game has some very glaring flaws. Overall, I had a really good time with it. I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the world they set up and built here. Of course, I know it's based off the story Journey to the West, which I knew some of it going in, but really not all that much. And overall, I have to say again, yeah, this was a really solid first outing for this first-time game developer, if I'm not mistaken, Game Science. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. But again, it is flawed, and we'll get into it. Let's just get into it. Let's start with the bad. By now, everyone pretty much knows that when it comes to performance and graphics, this game was very lacking. I mean, unless you were running a very high-end PC, and even then, with high-end PCs, some of them, like this game still had like optimization issues, graphic issues, frame rate issues, popping. It was just a bit all over the place. Again, obviously if you had a high-end PC, a lot of that was mitigated, but for those of us stuck on console or low-end PCs, yeah, this game was a bit rough. I mean, I constantly ran into frame drops, screen tearing, pop, some very, very noticeable pop in, lighting issues with like the game just transitioning like from dark to bright in like span of 2 seconds, which was very jarring. Like it had a myriad of performance issues. And yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. I mean, you can go look at Digital Foundry and they can break it down for you. But yeah, it was very rough. That being said, the game, even with all those issues, still looked quite amazing. I mean, even on performance and graphics mode on PS5, like there were just some still shots or some scenes that like you just look at them and you're just like, wow, this game is beautiful. But it does not take away from the fact that this game, performance and graphic wise, it's really rough. It is one of the low points of this game, and really one of the main reasons why like I look at PS5 Pro and I'm like, maybe it'll be better with this, but who's to say? We don't know how that's gonna work out. But yeah, this was honestly one of the biggest marks against this game. Just the graphics and performance were just like, they were not there. They just weren't there. All right, this next one, I'm not, maybe it's just me, but the story in this game is just not told in a very good way, in my opinion. The game is split up into chapters, and we get the beginning of a story in chapter 1, and then in chapter 2, we basically, it feels like stuff has happened between chapter 1 and 2 that we were not aware of, and we're just thrown from location to location without much real knowledge and explanation. Again, more than likely this is all tied to the Journey to the West, the book, the story of the game is based off of. I'm pretty sure for those that know the story inside and out and all the intricacies, this is like, oh, this is picking up right after this, or this just happened. This is why we're here. But for a layman like me, who has no like real solid grasp of the story, it was just very kind of confusing and jarring when we're between chapters. And there are other story points in the game where I'm just a little bit confused at what just happened. And then there's also like these little like end game or end chapter videos, like music videos, that basically tell you a little bit story about one of the characters or the location or something that happened. And those are all well and good, but I feel like they're not enough to like really explain what's happened or what's going on. Again, it's just there's this one through line that you receive from the first chapter that you're basically following, that you think and basically carries you throughout the entire game. But all this other stuff that's happening it's kind of like I'm not exactly sure what's happening, what's going on, what's the relevance of this. Obviously, there's like character bios in the journal, and you can maybe like read all that, and that'll explain more. But some of those bios are like paragraphs, like a lot of paragraphs, very long, and it would take a long while to read all through it. But yeah, just like for a layman like me, the story was a little hard to follow. Again, the one through line from the first chapter, like the main plot of the game, that carried me through. I understood I understood the main objective of what was going on. But then all this other side stuff, as much as I was wanting to know and as intriguing as I found all that, it was very hard to follow and like, what's going on. For example, there's in chapter, I believe, 3, or was it 4? I think it was 4. Forgive me. We meet a character, the fourth sister. I'll just say that, and we see her in a few cutscenes throughout the level in the game, and then ultimately she just disappears. We don't know what happened to her. We get a sense of what happened, but we don't see it. We're just told, oh, you did this and this, you did that, and now we're going to keep her, and they just there's no fight, nothing, they just fly off, and it's just like, what exactly happened? What did we do that did this to her? It's like, I'm not, it's not the fact that I'm not saying for spoiler reasons. I'm not saying because I'm honestly not sure what happened and what the meaning of it was. So yeah, there's just some story beats that I just feel like they could have really expanded on, or they could have told the story a bit better for certain things. And yeah, it was just a little lacking there, and that's just another thing. That was really the other thing that really kind of like held back this game for me. Now on to the main event, which is the gameplay. And honestly, I think this is one of the best action games I have played in a long while. I know a lot of people had problems with the fact that this game didn't really have a block or parry mechanic, and it was mostly focused on dodging. But that being said, there is a parry. It is attached to one of the stances, which is Smash Dance, which was my favorite stance in the game because of the fact that it had that parry. But besides that, I think the gameplay and action of this game is so unique, and it's implemented so well. I think people have gotten too used to just action games having a parry. So like, I forget which game started it, action game wise, which game started that fact of having a parry. But if you look in the past, Devil May Cry, there's no real dodging or parry in that game. Even recently with not recently, with the PS3 version of Warhammer 40k Space Marine, the first one, that game had no blocking or parrying. It was all straight action, and you regained health by smashing enemies with a grab attack. Games before, not all games had a block and parry. Some were just straight up action, and this game followed that template, in my opinion. Yes, there is a kind of parry in the Smash Dance, but again, there's no real blocking. And I just feel like that was one of the things that made this game so unique and just interesting, because there was just so many different ways that you could build your character and fight monsters or do combat in a way that's unique to you. For example, me personally, I focused a lot on Smash Dance. I sprinkled in a few of my magic and spirit skills, not really a lot of transformations, but then I have seen other players playing the game, and they focus on pillar stance. A lot of them were focusing on pillar stance because they like the option of just being able to run away into the sky and then come down with a big hit. I've seen people focus on transformations where like their transformations do massive damage and they're like out there for like almost the entire boss fight. I've seen people focus on the magic aspect where they have like almost every single magic attack or magic ability custom to them to do what they want to do. And there's just so much build variety in this game, and I feel like we don't get that too often in a bunch of action games, in a lot of action games. A lot of them have lately been focused on, hey, you have a parry and a dodge, you have a block, get that perfect parry, learn the timing down, get all that. So many games, action games, have been focused on that playstyle, and it's a fun playstyle. I like it. I enjoy it. I'm looking at First Berserker Kazan. That's a very much action game that's very focused on blocking, parrying, dodging, very similar to action games of the past, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to play that game. It looks fun to me. But this action game did something different. It went a different route, and I really like that. Again, there's just so many different options, and then not to mention your gear, the armor you can get. It can change abilities, enhance abilities. It changes play styles. It's the game's action is top notch in my opinion, just because of the variety and the amount of options they give you. Because I mean, like, you start off with just a few trees in that game, and those few trees are massive, and then even more trees show up later on, and it's just like, again, the build variety is so incredible. And again, just because one playstyle doesn't suit you doesn't mean another can't. They give you the ability to like reset and spec yourself at any checkpoint, or not checkpoint, but any save point, so you can always try different stuff out. Me personally, I didn't bother because I liked the playstyle I was having. That being said, I did try out some other stances and stuff like that, but I always found that I liked Smash stance the most because of the parry, while others, again, I saw really liked pillar stance the most, and I saw a few that really liked thrust stance as well. But yeah, like, again, I know a lot of the action was really confusing, and at first, and a lot of people couldn't get into it. And I know some people were complaining that there weren't any combos. Your basic square attack was very set. There was no variation, like square, square, triangle, or two triangles and a square, mixing it up like that. They really didn't have that. The variations came from your stances, which were tied to your triangle button. And yeah, the only time you get that is, like, no spoilers, but near the end of the game, you have the ability to, like, there is a stance that, like, really varies up your square and triangle attacks. But that's not until the end of the game, and even then, I really didn't like that stance, because I liked my Smash stance more. I was so accustomed to that. But yeah, I think the gameplay in this game was really fun and really exciting. And that being said, it's not all good, because there is a bit of a delay between when you press the button and what happens on screen. So there would be like times where I'm like, I see an attack coming and I want to do my parry, so I press it, but since there's this delay between input and action in the game, it doesn't always work out. Same thing was dodging, and if you watch my playthrough videos, or my video of my playthrough, you'll know there's plenty of times where I'm like, I missed it, and I'm like, I hit triangle or I hit circle, and it doesn't come out because there is that delay input in there. And then I did really enjoy the maps. They were a lot bigger than I thought they would. I was under the impression that because this game was an action game, that the maps or areas would be a little bit more linear, and you just go forward, very narrow, maybe one or two deviations to find a few secret things, but that was it. But no, I mean, chapter, I think 2, 3, and 4 are absolutely massive. I mean, these are just open areas with like multiple paths, multiple things to explore, side quests to discover. I missed certain characters and abilities because of like side quests I did not encounter and things like that. So many hidden little things. This game was just absolutely massive, and the environments, I really liked them. They were very varied. We did get quite a few forest areas, but even within that same foresty feel, I felt they were varied enough and different enough that they felt unique. And yeah, like, the maps were huge, and I had a blast exploring them. I always felt compelled to, like, what's over here? What's over there? I don't want to go to the main path. Let me see what's on the side path. Like, I found myself doing that. And yeah, I think, again, the gameplay of this game really carried it through. It was really fantastic and really fun once you really got into it. And some of the boss fights were so hard for me, while others were very easy. But most of the time, a lot of those boss fights were very challenging. One funny thing, though, is the regular ending boss of the game was really hard for me. But the secret final boss of the game from the secret ending wasn't too bad. So it's like this weird, like, some fights were good, like, were easy for me, and some were not. And I think that's a good thing. You know, it would have been too much if it was like a cakewalk, but at the same time, some of the challenges were like, it wasn't too challenging at times either. Or sorry, it was very challenging at times as well. And I had a really good time with this game because I think, again, the gameplay of this game is rock solid. The only thing that holds it back is, once again, the performance, because, again, frame drops, frame tearing. Sometimes the camera would get all wonky during some boss fights that would just throw me off. But overall, I think the action and gameplay of this game is top-notch, fantastic, and I want to see more. I want to learn more, and I want to see how, if they do make DLC or a sequel, how they can expand on it or refine it. Because I think, again, this was a great first basis for the game's combat, and again, I want to see what they do with it going forward. In the end, I really enjoyed Black Myth Wukong. I really loved the action of this game. The gameplay was just super fun, and I just loved the build varieties, even though I focused on one style myself. And again, not perfect. There is clearly some performance and graphical issues. I mean, if you have a top, like, high-end PC, maybe those really don't affect you as much, and who knows, maybe the PS5 Pro will alleviate some of those problems. And then story-wise, again, like, the one main plot was pretty understandable to follow, but like all the other side and, like, side stories for other characters and things, those were a bit hard to grasp, and, like, the flow of the story of how you get to place was also a bit jarring and not really explained all that well, at least to me. But again, the main thing is the action. If you like action games, if you like, doing different builds and trying out different things, I would highly recommend this game and checking it out. But again, that's just me personally, because I really enjoyed it. I really like this game, and I'm excited to see what they do and how they move forward with this series, I'm assuming. Because again, I think they've already said they're making a sequel, or they've already announced DLC, one or the other, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm just excited to see where they go from here, because again, for me, I thought this game was amazing. I had a really good time with it. If I had to, like, put it a number, I would say 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. That's just, I don't really rate in these videos. I just say if I like it or don't like it. So let's just go stick with that. I don't know why I made a score, but personally, I liked it. I had a blast with it. And if you like action games, I would say check it out. But yeah, those are my thoughts. That's my review. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment down below. I'd appreciate any and all feedback. Subscribe. I'm streaming on Twitch, so please consider following me there at twitch.tv/JustAGamerInc, all together one word, or you can click the link below. But yeah, did you play Black Myth Wukong? What are your thoughts on it? Did you love it, hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Are you like me, where you see the flaws but you still like the action? I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback in the comments down below, so let me know. But regardless, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care and have a good game.